Where have you been this week? Can you tell us?
Well, there's this. I'm not very good with these different brands, but there's something called Netflix. Yes, all right. Over the last 2 weeks, I've been commuting to Johannesburg. But this last week, I spent whole week there preparing to film kind of comedy, but the title is How to Ruin Love, Season 2.
So you have to watch season 1 now, so when it's released, you can catch season 2.
Yeah. So I'm this old man who's so grumpy, so traditional, and wanting to have people do what I want to have done. So yes, I got back after a week in Johannesburg on, when did I get back? On Saturday, and I'll be off again to Johannesburg on the 16th. But we'll go on shooting until April. And it won't be anywhere near here. So it's going to be Johannesburg and KZN. Not just Johannesburg, Gauteng and KZN. Yeah, the long and short of it is, yes, after praying intensely that God give us a breakthrough, and He did, but I will come back to that later on. So yes, I am on this production. How did people wake up one morning thinking that there's an old man sitting in the Eastern Cape deserving to be remembered? And I must say, I've never been treated in the manner I'm being treated right now. I mean, I've spent something like over 40 years in this industry, stage and film, but this is, for me, to date, the best treatment I've ever received.
Oh,
Yes,
that's good.
I've got to say that, even money-wise. So, yeah.
Oh. You know, and one of the reasons I wanted both of you up here is because what you are doing now, and it's such an encouragement. I said to you back in the room there, for me, I look at you and I feel so much excitement for my purpose. And that, for most people at 80, they are sitting on the couch watching Netflix. And before we move on, I just want to, I want you to say one thing to the audience. We watchers of Netflix and different platforms, we have this idea of the glamour. And it's such a glamorous career, and you don't have to put up your hands, but some of you are secretly sitting there going, oh, I wish I could do that. But you shared how many costume changes you had in this week. Just tell us what hard work it is.
Sure. I'm the only one who puts on 21 costumes. 21 costumes. I think the nearest to me is 15, but 21. And I said to the producer, really, are you sure? At my age, I have to change 21 times?
Yeah, not all glamorous. But how to ruin love. You guys have certainly not ruined love. I mean, I find that a very amusing title. You want to say something?
I just chip in when you're asking about how hard it is. I think it was around 2014 when I moved from Northwest to join him in Joburg, so I was not employed then. He tried to hook me up to, to this industry. At least I must just do something. It's so hard, guys. This thing that you see them doing for a minute. The first time I went to this advert, and I auditioned, and they said to me, you know, you must just put a little bit energy. You were too cold. Put a little bit of energy. That's the reason you are not going to get it, because there was no energy. And then the next one, I remember that I was told about the energy. I tried to put the energy. And, you know, at the end, when they give me feedback, they said, "Sure, your energy was too much." And from that day, I decided that I'm not going to get into this thing completely, and I got out. They tried to call me to say, "No, there's another audition." I said, no, I can't do it.
Yeah. So while you're on that, tell us what you do. You've got a long career, and you're not from the Eastern Cape. So give us a little bit of your background. Where do you come from?
I come from Northwest, Rustenburg town, to be precise. I worked there. I started working in 1989. That was when I started working. I'm a graduate of University of Northwest, the then University of Bophuthatswana. And when I was doing my second year at the university, I accepted the Lord as my personal savior. Yes. I accepted the Lord as my personal savior when I was doing second year. And, you know, I didn't know about this verse that when God said, test me. But when I accepted the Lord, I was just alone in my room. You know, I was so convicted that I was just alone, not in the church. During the course of the week, it was Wednesday. I remember very well, it was Wednesday between 5 and 6 on the 9th of April, 1986. So I just said to the Lord, I want you now. I don't know whether I will make it, or I don't know, because I can see people are making it in you, others, they are going back. So I'm not sure what will happen to me, but I want to accept you. And I want to give you my commitment. I was telling Christ that I want to be committed to you, because I don't want to get in half-heartedly. Then when it doesn't work, I blame somebody. So I want to put, you know, myself, my whole being, wholeheartedly into you, so that I can see whether this thing is working.
Wow.
So since that time until now,
Yeah.
it's working.
Yeah. And I think just knowing you since, when did you arrive here in the Eastern Cape? When did we first meet? What year was that?
2022. We came
2022.
here in 2022,
So
because we relocated in 2021, then we came to the church February 2022.
So we haven't known you that long, but I can definitely testify that's been a wholehearted commitment for both of you. I just want to honor them for a moment, and actually other people who travel to be here. How long does it take you to get to God Adventure on a Sunday morning? What's the journey?
It's a little more than 30 kilometers.
Yeah.
It would take us something like maybe 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere thereabouts.
And I think that's worth honoring, because there's a cost involved. And I think as you testified, when you gave your life to the Lord, it was I'm in or I'm out. There's no gray areas here. That's part of the cost. That
we leave home like today. We left at 7:45.
And for the rest of you, who else travels from Mdansani side? You Kids Beach.
Wow.
I know there are others, but they might not be here today. But thank you. Thanks for traveling in. While we're talking about just your experience coming to Christ, you shared something interesting. I have read stories about a man by the name of Nicholas Bengu. Has anyone heard of the revivalist Nicholas Bengu? An amazing man of God, and I had read stories about the incredible meetings that he held here in the Eastern Cape, but I had never met anyone who had attended those meetings. So, Zwelakhe, will you take us back to when you were, was it 12, you said? Those first, where the seeds were sown in your life.
Okay. First time I heard of Nicholas Bengu, I was about 6 years, 1952, was it? Hang on, I'm 82 this year. Yeah, anyway, Nicholas Bengu, Nicholas Bengu had a huge, shall I say, gathering here. In North End, if you are driving from here, from town, going towards the old Dungan village, there used to be a huge cinema called Springbok on your left-hand side. Now, it was a cinema. Nicholas Bengu came from wherever he came from. I think he was from KZN, before it was called KZN then. He was new in town. No one had heard of him. He got that place packed out with people. I don't know how they got to know about his power, but I was not there because I think I was 6 years old. But miracles were circulated that, people were healed and all sorts of things. But the ones I went to, after that, I saw miracles. Not in terms of just healing. Yes, he healed people, but East London, mainly Dungan Village then, was sure. There was so much crime. Levels of crime were so high. Today, it's nothing, really, if you say East London or Dungan Village, black townships are rough and colored townships are rough. No, there's nothing. That's nothing as compared to the 50s. So Nicholas Bengu would pitch a tent somewhere in the middle of Dungan Village and people would come. It would take something like a week. If there was demand, it would go on to the second week. But what happened there, people, hardened gangsters, sources, came in front and put their guns, their weapons, big knives, their guns, dachas and everything. They put there. And never mind the giving. They gave generously the money they had gotten, from crooked ways. They deposited, there was a whole box, everything was dumped in there. But Nicholas Bengu took that the following day and handed it to the police station. It was called Sasitukwa then, but it was Dungan Village Police Station. I think it happened twice. I went there twice. The third one I went to was 1966. It was not far from where I lived. But what I just want to highlight here is East London had never, in fact I must say South Africa, had never seen such power that came from just one person. Nicholas Bengu was so powerful. He had presence on stage, was a great singer, he had a huge voice. So that kind of personality attracted people to him. But more than that, he knew how to speak. Yeah, he just had a gift to speak and get people to come to God. So his main, let me tell you this. 1967, because I grew up very adventurous. I was a very adventurous kid. I was in Johannesburg in 1967, first time, and I'd gone to see a play by one Gibson Kente called Sikalo, and it was closing on that night. In the middle of the night at 12 o'clock on a Saturday, month end, I walked, it was about 2 kilometer distance. I was scared because where I was staying in Meadowland Zone 5, there were many sources there, but I didn't think that that was going to stop me. But on this particular night, I was so scared. Then I heard a voice saying, come go back to God or come to God, something like it. Then I said, I'm familiar with that. Where does it come from?
Back to God.
Back to God. Back to God. It was coming opposite me. And I saw that it was a CE registration car, black Mercedes-Benz. I said, this is Nicholas Pengu. Then after that, I said, no, not so he's going to touch me. I walked. I proceeded with my journey and got back home safe. So that was the kind of power that he had, because when he spoke, you listened. You just couldn't look at left and right. You just looked at him. He just had that force, that power to attract people. Right. I'm sorry. I was sickly when I was young, and I believe that had it not been for the prayers that I received from the congregates of the Assemblies of God, they came every night to pray for me. I was sick. I even missed school for the whole year. But I recovered and I went back to school, and my parents believed it was because I had been prayed over. So I think, sure.
Amen, sure. And just coming back to those revival meetings that happened, and the mark was repentance. People would just come forward and just repent. And I think what was so sad was they were all disbanded. If you know the history of the revival here, they were disbanded because they attracted all the races. And obviously back then, the law was we couldn't gather together. So I think that's Nicholas Bengu left. And God started something here with that man. And I just love the Lord, because he never forgets, and his promises, what he has started, he will complete. And just as he does that for our own lives, he started something in your life, those encounters that you had. But his promise is that he will complete. He will complete what he has started. And so now I'm just blessing Duncan Village, and I'm saying, do it again, Lord.
Yes.
Do it again. Do it again, Lord. There have been so many prophetic words around Duncan Village.
Back to God.
Back to God. Duncan Village, East London, back to God. But now coming back to you, I love the fact that you are now both here in the Eastern Cape. Just as God called a mighty revivalist here, and he does that all the time, he is calling people back to the Eastern Cape. And this is not a place that either of you, even though you grew up here, it wasn't necessarily a place that you would see yourselves in returning to.
Yeah.
And yet God spoke very specifically to you about coming back. Well, for you coming here for the first time. So won't you tell us, Selaelo, how that happened? Because this is when we first met you, I remember hearing you told us about just the culture shock coming here. Because you left home, you left family, you left everything that was familiar because of what God had called you to. So take us through that.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Before I go there, when my husband shared with me, the testimony of his, the seed that he received from Bengu's, revival stands, I realized that's the importance of the seed. I realized the importance of the seed, because after that, he said he was around 12 or whatever. Then after that, it was like he forgot about what he received at the tent. It was like he forgot. But the seed that was in him was there. It didn't go. Because when he went back home, and because by that time he was not staying with his parents when he was, exposed to that. When he went back home, his parents were, traditional people who believed in ancestors. He went back to that home. But he refused to take part in those things. He refused throughout. He told me that the other day his father chased him out of the house and said, if you don't take part in this, you cannot stay here when you don't take part.
Wow.
Because of that seed. That seed stayed up until, the Lord revived it, when he recommitted himself.
Wow.
But I realized really the power of the seed.
Wow, that's powerful. Before you carry on, I want to stop right there because I want to ask you, Zwelakhe, just to speak to the people who are in this pressure of family, regardless of whether it's ancestor worship. It's just when you get saved or when you make a decision for Christ, one of the hardest places to stand is in your family. It doesn't matter when those values just don't align with Christian values. So won't you just briefly just speak, and you can as well, because you also experienced, when you came to Christ, what the conflict might have been there. But just say, how would you encourage people who are facing that situation? It's sort of like particularly in traditional worship, African religion.
I think the starting point is, all right, there's going to be this feast, and we're going to dedicate this occasion to the ancestors. You're going to invite people of the village or community or township, wherever you are, and you're going to have to buy a cow and ox, and it's going to be beer brewed, there's going to be brandy, gin, and everything. It costs a lot of money. Now the flip side of that, you walk in there, come to this church, like I am, like she is, like you are. You don't have to buy expensive clothes. Now, for God's sake, where would you, under normal circumstances, choose to go? Between that affair, that event that's so expensive, and this. Now, here's another thing. I have to say this. I didn't share this with you. At home, did I finish what I was saying?
No, I was just saying encourage people who are stuck in that place. Like, what do? We torn. How did you? You were a man who stood up against your father. You had to there's a cost involved. So you understand that situation.
I think for me, it was prayer, believing in prayers. And I just want to back this up. I am in this industry, art and culture. There is no money if you are not in the show. Then we decided, myself and my wife, that we've got to pray. We chose the theme, restoration. Before I go there, who is Fiona here? Fiona, thank you. In April last year, you posted, and I think you circulated, a prayer plan. And for the whole of April, we stuck to it religiously. We never missed one day. And after that, 2 months after that, I said to my wife, there is a moral kind of breakdown in this family, our nephews and everybody around us. I've got monies that I'm owed by publishers and other people. And there's so many other things. Now let us embark on a program of restoration. We perused the Bible and came up. From May, after we finished that, from May until August, when did we get that call from Pretoria? November. Okay. From May until November, when we were praying one night, and I decided to adopt a different tone, and I said, God, let us talk now, man to man. Because you know what we're busy doing here. We're trying to uplift the people here, and I'm owed monies, millions of monies by those crooks there, and I don't have money to put into my car. I don't have petrol for my car to drive around. What can we do? Why? You're my father. Please give us money, God. And when I finished, when I said amen, a phone call came through. Mr. Mtsake, you and 24 other artists are going to be paid pension monies.
Wow. Wow.
What? I said, who are you? I'm Lebogang from Johannesburg. But I've never heard of that before. I've been in this industry. Are you sure, Lebogang? She said, I'm Dutch. In fact, tomorrow, you go to a particular place, she mentioned it. You are going to be given just some money to just to tide you over until the beginning of the financial year.
Wow.
Unfortunately, here am I in this village in East London. She thought I was in Johannesburg, and I missed out on how much? 100,000 rands. I said, this is unfair. But she said, no, it's not our fault. We ought to be here. We didn't know that we are there. So I missed out on that. But then, it's okay, it's fine. What did God do to compensate for that? I got this call 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
that I should go and do this. I must say, because it's going to take longer, it is going to pay me more than that 100,000 rand.
Wow.
I missed out.
Wow.
And I am not sure if they're going to fulfill their promise to give us pension funds. I'm not sure about that, but I'll come back to
Yeah.
testify.
Yeah. Come
if
on.
They do.
And I think, yeah, what I get from that is just you have both chosen a righteous path and God's promise that He looks after us in those places. And it comes at a cost. You've had to say no to things. You've had to, it's come at conflict with family, leaving your home. But God provides, and you are a testimony of that. So coming back to you, tell us how what did He do? What did He say to bring you here?
When it started with me. I was not aware, it was not, clear that, I heard God. It was like it's me saying, let us go back home. He didn't want us to come back here. Even for the first time when we were visiting, he wanted us to come just for a few days and we go back. He said, the village life, we cannot survive for a month, but we came. So when we were relocating, the Lord started with us, I think it was around 2017, 2018, when the Lord started to talk. I said to him, we must go back home and stay there during our retirement. And after that, the Lord, revealed Himself clearly to my husband on that we must come here. So my point is that we didn't come back here in East London because he had a house that it's his home. We came here because God wanted us to come back. And you were asking about challenges. So, when God told you to do something, He will see you through the challenges. And it's not so heavy that there are challenges. Especially with me, the culture shock. Sometimes I feel like, if God didn't talk to me first, I would say to Him, I don't survive. But because He started with me, God, I cannot look at any other person to say, I want to go back to Gauteng, because I accepted. I remember one night we were just dedicating it and saying, God, we accept what you are saying we must do. We accept your calling. And we didn't know what are we going to do in Eastern Cape, clearly. So sometimes, you just have to obey. You will see later. You just have to obey and take that one step, and God will take you to the next step. And God is trusting.
Yeah.
When a blind person is led by a person, you trust that person, one step at a time. So that's where we are. We just trusted Him that as He said we must come back, it will, come later. But I think he can share, my husband can share, precisely what the Lord said to him, because as I said, with me, it was like, it's me, I want us to come back home.
Yeah.
but it was confirmed later that it was not me, it was the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we go there, you had no idea of what you would be doing when God called you. We're going to be talking about their MPO, how they are serving, you said 120 children, 62 families, 67 families, and how quickly that has actually happened. But when you felt that, when you felt God calling you, was there any picture attached to it? Did you have a dream? Or was it just like God telling Abraham, just go and I'll make it plain when you're there?
There was no dream, there was no picture.
It was just that sense, we need to go.
Yeah, it was just, go and back to your home. I think the Lord, the verse that the Lord gave him, it was like maybe it's just giving direction, because can you share it?
I don't know how it came about that I saw this verse and read it. Maybe it was during our devotions, but
There we go. Do you want me to
all
hold
right,
it?
okay.
Can you read
Yeah,
it?
I can. Yeah. What happened was I don't know how it started, but there is this verse. It's Mark 9. Mark 8, verse. Am I shouting? Okay.
So can I just chip in when you said you don't remember? You forgot that, we were in a prayer meeting at church.
Yeah.
In fact, it was a preparation because we were doing the diploma in Christian ministry.
Yeah.
So there were seminars. So the day of the seminars, those who are doing diploma, they are preparing themselves to go and help Pastor Sarel to minister.
Yeah.
So we were in this room. So before that, you were reading the verse. Then when we came there, I was just trying to connect.
All right. The previous night or so, I was reading this Mark chapter 8 from verse 22 to 25. It's quite long. It's the longest passage, but please bear with me. I'm going to read it. But then, just before I read it, the facilitator of this seminar had little papers, strips of papers written with verses written on them. Then my wife was sitting in front of me. There was this box full of these papers, these little strips of papers, and the facilitator said, take out paper, you don't have to read it, give it to anyone you want to give it to. And I was sitting behind my wife. My wife dipped her hand into it and took out this and gave it to me without even reading it. Lo and behold, it was Mark 8, verse 23, the one that we had been talking about the previous night.
Wow.
It was amazing. And it says, may I read, please?
Please do.
Okay.
Do you want me to hold it?
Okay.
There we go.
Jesus heals the blind man. When they arrived at Bethsaida, I can't pronounce these words, some people brought a blind man to Jesus, and they begged him to touch the man and heal him. Jesus took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the village. Then, spitting on the man's eyes, he laid his hands on him and asked, can you see anything now? The man looked around. Yes, he said, I see people, but I can't see them. I can see them very clearly. They look like trees walking around. Then Jesus placed his hands on the man's eyes again, and his eyes were opened. His sight was completely restored, and he could see everything clearly. Jesus sent him away, saying, don't go back into the village on your way home. This we had read in my house. Now we go to this seminar. My wife without even looking at it, fishes out this strip of paper and gives it to me. She has not looked at it. She doesn't know what's in that. It is the same scripture we're reading at home. But what is amazing here, when we prayed at home, long before this, we said, Ngahun, that is where the village we come from. People know about Christ, but practically, they are not the kind of followers that we would like them to be. So they are just like this man. They're just like this man.
Wow.
So I think this made sense. God guided us to this, and
So you knew that you had a role to play in your village,
yes,
and
definitely.
to help them see Christ clearly.
yes, yes.
But you didn't know what practically that would look like.
I didn't know at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
I love
didn't
that.
know. Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, I normally record, I'm sorry, Jen, I normally record every time, especially the when God is speaking to us. So I recorded here that God continued to unfold what he wants us to do. He's calling upon our lives. Mark 8, verse 22 to 26. The people we are called for are partially seeing him. Verse 24. They see people look like trees. He wants us to ensure that people will see clearly. That is verse 25, restoration of vision. They were only released when the purpose was accomplished. That is in verse 26. He wants the people to no more go back to the places or to the place that caused their blindness.
Wow.
That is verse 26. Don't go back to the village. He wants people to serve him after their eyes are opened.
Wow.
That's what I recorded on that date. It was the
Wow.
26th of August,
Wow.
2018.
Wow. So tell us, what does that look like practically at the moment? What are you doing? Tell us the story of the MPO.
Okay.
Or you can, yes,
So
go ahead.
since, as we relate to how it started, we came here in 2021. In 2022, we came to the church. And I just want to say this was really God's plan, even to be here. It's not like, we chose this church or whatever. I strongly believe that it was God's plan. What I'm going to say, it will just explain that further, because the same year we came here, the church, in September, in fact, in August I had a dream. I don't remember my dreams normally. I will dream a lot of dreams in the night, 4 or 5 dreams. In the morning when I wake up, I can't even remember the single one every day. But every time when I remember a dream, I write it down. So I woke up in the night and recorded this dream. I was pregnant on the dream. Then I went for checkup. When I went to the checkup, they said, no, your pregnancy is fine. You'll, give birth to a baby girl. And I was like, me pregnant at my age. So it was like there was a voice behind me that says, it doesn't matter age.
No.
It doesn't matter age. And I woke up, I was, excited of that pregnancy. And in the dream, the voice said, also the nurse at the checkup, you'll deliver in a month's time. So in September, about a month's time, there was a conference of Children's Church here where Esme and the other lady's name,
I can't remember.
I can't
She
remember
came from
her.
Cape Town.
Yes, they came from
Yeah.
Cape Town. The first night here, before I come to the first night, when we were coming to church, we were just sitting at the back, and not, didn't want people to understand a lot about us and all that. We're just sitting at the back. So, as me said, there's a lady here who has been involved in a children's ministry. She's just coming to the church. The church doesn't know that she was involved in that. She's just sitting at the back. And she just, she said, she thought she's retiring because of her age. So it's not yet time for you to retire. She was just speaking about me. Other things, I even forgot about them. I was told by Lizelle thereafter. Then I heard that it's me. I stood up and came up to the front. And she said to me, God wants you to continue with the work. After the meeting, Lizelle said to me, we were praying for God to, help us with workers at the children's church. Thank you for coming, but go and think about it and process. When you are ready, you can come and join us. I said, I don't have to go and process because I had a dream.
Yeah. Wow.
That I'll give birth in a month's time. Giving birth to a baby, a girl. And Lizelle is saying we want somebody who can come and, especially work with the teenage girls and just talk to them.
Wow.
So I said, I don't have anything to think about, Lizelle. I'm just coming in, to do what God wants me to do. Wow. And it was really a build-up to what God is doing in Newlands, in Ngahuni. It's a serious build-up. After that, the children's church came to East London, to the village, to Ngahuni, to help us set up the ministry. Even that time, we were not clear what do we want to do. We were not really so clear. But they came, the whole team of children's church. They spent the whole day in Newlands. Children came, children ministered too. That was when the work of the NPO started.
Wow.
So...
Yeah. God is good. Wow.
And those kids that we started with, others, went away. But we registered now an NPO with social development since that time. So it's the work from, Joburg, the work in God Adventure, now going to the Newlands. So we really want to thank God for God Adventure Church, to help us establish that foundation. And I don't know the place, I don't know the people, the culture shock, I don't know how things are done here. But, the Lord just carry us through.
And
and
He had a purpose for you being here. Zwelakhe, tell us about where you live. Tell us about Newlands, the area, and some of the challenges that, because you're working with young people, paint a picture of what the challenges are there that the youngsters are facing, and what sort of things that you are confronting there, areas that you're working in and helping in.
Yeah, I think what we do is to just supervise that they are doing their homework. We hesitate to give them answers. It will be bad. We can't help them with answers. But yes, the thinking, how to approach their problems.
So sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Why are you helping them with homework? What was the need there? What are they not being provided with in the areas in the schools?
First, we have a Wi-Fi. What is it called?
Okay, so there's no...
And it's interesting nowadays. Kids are, I think they are thrown into a deep end and they are told, go and research. There are no instruments, no devices.
Yeah.
But they are expected to go and do research in a village like that.
Yeah.
So yes, we because we've got Wi-Fi, we help them to
and
research.
devices. I mean, you've got Wi-Fi, but what devices do they have to?
Very few. How many kids?
We have 2 old cell phones, so they share. They're about 50 for now.
50 kids doing
50
homework.
kids, yes.
And they're meeting in your home.
Yes.
You did some extensions and renovations to accommodate them.
Yes.
Yes.
We are meeting with them in a garage, in
Okay.
our garage. So because there's so many, we even now they go to the stoop, to the others
Okay.
stay in the stoop. So Yeah, they're about 50. We've got only 2 old cell phones, but at least they connect to the Wi-Fi.
Okay, 2 old cell phones, 50 kids. Who's got cell phones lying around? Is this something that we can help you? I'm just
Sometimes,
devices.
yeah, sometimes I'm always busy on my computer, on my laptop. Sometimes I had to sacrifice that and give it to them and say, look,
Wow.
we are too many. There's only 2 cell phones, but just make use of my laptop.
Wow.
And, kids sometimes they mess up things.
Yeah.
They mess up things. I'm not a technology person, so I have to say, she is better than me. I have to say, oh, please, try and guide me. What? These kids have messed up my laptop. But anyway, we love it. We love it. We love it.
A lot. So the challenge is that, okay, we still...
Now, I was going to say, I was very loath to come back here to a place where I know in fact, I knew very few people, except, yes, of course, the township people in Danzana across the railway lines, I knew them. But those there in my village, I didn't know many people there. But now I have to say, when I was in Johannesburg over these last 1.5 weeks, I kept phoning my wife. How are the kids doing? Because I'm getting fulfilled now. Yeah. There are people in my life now.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
see, little as they are, but they are people in my life.
What ages are you doing the homework with?
It's grade 8 to grade 10.
Grade 8 to grade 10. And what subjects are they? Are you working across
We're
all the
working
subjects, whatever they
across-
need help in?
Yeah. we're
So you're
working
having to
across-
pull out those math skills and those science skills. Because grade 10, I'm thinking grade 10 maths.
Yeah. In fact, basically, we are supervising them.
Okay.
Yes, there and there we
leading-
can help, especially with
Okay.
him in English.
Yeah.
He's helping a lot in English, but basically we just supervising that. They've researched, they've done their homework.
Okay,
We
and
just
helping them
check,
with
yes,
finding
have
places
have
on the
you-
internet that they
Yes,
can-
have you finished your homework and all that. So, but most of them, the challenges, I want to go back to the challenges. The challenges in the community, a lot of children are neglected by their parents, by their own parents,
Yeah.
leave alone that they don't have devices. They're neglected because when we went to a primary school to do our survey there, we had a form that one primary school should fill up because we were looking for neglected children, child-headed, orphans, and HIV infected and affected. One primary school, they gave us 89 children.
Wow.
And
Wow.
out of that 89, 54 of them were neglected by their own parents
Wow.
due to alcohol and other things.
Yeah.
54.
Yeah.
And without, proper uniform, without, proper anything. Those kids don't even have a phone. It's only one child who has a phone. All of them, they don't even have, a ticket cell phone.
Yeah.
It's those type of situations. There's a boy, I'm not going to mention his name. There's a boy who has been dumped by his mom in the village with the friends. And during the course of the year, the friends said, we cannot stay with you because your mom just dumped you here.
Yeah.
Go back to your mom.
Yeah.
His mom is staying somewhere in a squatter camp. They chased the boy away. But one teacher decided to go to that squatter camp to look for that child because he's very bright.
How old is he?
The boy is 16, I think, for now, because he has been dropping out of school in and out. So the teacher went back and took him to the village. He's staying with this couple. So he is staying in the community now. The mom is just neglecting. And the mom was also neglected. So it's like a generational thing.
Yeah.
So the boy doesn't have a birth certificate. He's one of those who don't have birth certificates. Last year in March, he got 2 distinctions.
Wow.
In June, he got 4 distinctions.
Oh, wow.
In September, he got 6
Oh,
distinctions.
that's incredible. Well done. Phew.
Everywhere with not less than 90% in mathematics.
Sure.
doesn't have a birth certificate. So we are pushing. Last week he was telling me that he got, because we had to write letters to Home Affairs. We had to facilitate, because that's one of the things that we are facilitating, to make sure that they have birth certificates. Because how will they go to matric, and how will they, qualify for the grants if they don't have birth certificates? So he got a call after a long period of, communicating with Home Affairs. They're saying everything is going up properly now for his ID, and we decided that let's just help even his siblings that we don't even know. At least they must get, because his elder sister, who is 20 years old, doesn't have an ID too. So he was just included in the whole process. His mom got her ID when she was 41 years old. So it's just a generational thing. So we are dealing with generational whatever. And this whole children who are dumped, who are neglected by their parents were also neglected.
Yeah.
So when you trace it back, it's from maybe this is the third generation or the fourth generation that has been dumped like that without IDs.
Yeah.
So
I'm reminded of Isaiah 61, the call on all of us. We've been anointed for these various things. But it's at the end there, it's for the restoration of generations and the ruined cities of generationally. And I just love the way the Lord has placed you in this place here. It's not just this generation, but you are restoring generations.
And just to add on that, when we started with the grade 8 for homework, we said last year, 2024, we will just do that grade 8 because of our capacity. We cannot do more. But this grade 8, they stayed with us 1 quarter. The second quarter, they came with their friends in grade 9. Wow. They didn't even prepare us to say we will come with our friends and whatever. They came with their friends and so excited, saying, Makulu, they call us Makulu and Tatumkulu. Makulu, come and see our friends. They're here, they're coming to join us. So you cannot say to the friends, please, we are only dealing with grade 8, go back. You can't say that. So you just have to accommodate. So last year we accommodated also grade 9 and planned.
Wow.
And this boy that I'm talking about, he was the top achiever in grade 8 in the school mid-year. And the other girl who is also part of our children, she was the top achiever for grade 9. So for both grade 8 and 9 top achievers in June were from our organization.
Now,
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think without you, we wouldn't have managed all of this. Money came from you, clothes, and other kinds of donations.
Shoes.
Ooh, I'm not going to mention you, Ash and Liz. They came in person. They came there
to support. They even brought some goodies for the kids.
Yes, and I also let them taste my soup because
I love that. I mean, I was so proud of my parents for coming out, and it was a camp. It was a July
holiday program.
It was a holiday program. So, you know what holiday programs look like with a whole lot of kids? How many kids do you have at the whole holiday program?
There were 50.
50. And these two, and my parents were there for the day to help with these 50 little kids. And I was,
let's not
I was
forget
amazed. And
Joe.
my son was
Where
there
is
too.
Joe?
Where's Joe? He played with them.
Where is Joe? Joe is not here. Huh? Okay.
Yeah. But we don't have a lot of time left. But tell us about the land that you've been given and what is the dream for that land. Because you've got 120, you're serving 120, this is getting bigger and bigger. And your property they're outgrowing that.
Yes.
So tell us about the land you've been given and what you are dreaming for that land.
Okay, the community partnered with us because really we want partnership with people on this great job that God has started. So the community started to partner with us. They gave us a site free of charge. Yes, the sites in the village, most of them are free, but
Yeah.
they're not free per se.
Yeah.
But they gave us a site for free where we can build. We want to build a drop-in center where the kids will come every day,
Wow.
because we didn't mention that these kids, when they come for homework, we are giving them bread and something to drink, maybe juice and whatever.
There's something to eat.
When something is
Yeah.
not there, we give them tea.
Yeah.
And they appreciate bread
Yeah.
with tea.
Yeah.
Sometimes that bread is not buttered, but it's
Yeah,
just
they're
bread.
hungry.
Yeah, they just become happy because some of them is their supper.
Yeah. Wow.
And some of them, they're attracted to this because of
Yeah.
this bread.
And
Because
how on earth do you learn on an empty stomach?
yes, because they eat at school, but they last
Yeah.
had their meal at school at 11.
Sure.
So this is their supper if they didn't come. So the drop-in center will also provide
Yeah.
a nutritious meal for them. The drop-in center will be, a safe home for them.
Yeah.
Like now, when they come to our house, you can see that it's a safe home.
Yeah.
Even when it's raining, I wanted to take them a video the other day. Raining, they come running because it's raining.
Yeah.
But they don't pass or go to their homes.
Yeah.
They come straight and, just come to stay up until 5. So we want the drop-in center
Yeah.
to do that to these kids. And not only the kids, even their families. The families should really feel
Yeah.
that this is
Yeah.
a safe place
Yeah.
for their kids. So it will do numerous things, the drop-in center.
Yeah. Well, we want to partner with you in that and just come around you and support you in whatever way we can. So we're gonna end there. But how can we, looking out at these people, we're a small congregation, but people know people. They might be connected with businesses, or you might have a spare device lying around. But what are some practical ways that people can help at this stage? And I mean, you talk about we are doing this and we are doing this. With all these kids, we see the we, here's the we. It's not a big team yet. And you've got people who've expressed interest to come on board, but at the moment it's the two of you doing this. So I think prayer cover is also something, and just calling in those support people that you can partner with, who can walk this road with you, is a big thing. But how can people help? How can they serve? Is there opportunity to go out and help at your holiday programs? Or possibly there might be someone who's got some time who can come and help in an afternoon with homework.
Yes.
The greatest challenge we have in terms of school subjects is mathematics. We both don't. Last did mathematics some 40 years ago, so I'm rusty. Things keep evolving nowadays.
Yeah.
So we had this teacher. He's very famous. He is very good. But he doesn't behave that well in the community, but he's all right. Also, he's a relative of mine anyway. So it's just one of those guys we could keep because he's quite good. But he requires that we give him something. And it is that something that we don't have. So that's just one of those areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need help on.
So
Yeah,
you
I
need-
think also, as we've mentioned, the devices. You also mentioned, volunteering.
Yeah.
Because even these people that we are recruiting in the village, we say, even if you can give a day,
Yeah.
just a day, it's fine, or hours, just to give to this work. The urgent thing is also the fencing the site, because people are now hijacking the sites. In no time you can find people building their own thing there,
Okay.
and it's going to be difficult to evict them. So at least if we can just have a fence to
Fencing
secure
secure it.
the place one step at a time,
Yeah.
but the ultimate goal is to
Yeah.
have, you know,
Yeah.
the drop-in center.
Yeah.
But I believe that even as we were talking, God can speak to any one
Yeah.
of us to say, this is what you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anything that, you know, people can help with,
Yeah.
it's welcomed.
Yeah.
We may not have mentioned it, but anything that people can say, this
Yeah.
is what I can do,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really most welcome.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you'll enjoy. We are enjoying ourselves in
I just
in
love
this
it. I love what
worthy,
you're doing.
worthy
It's-
work. We're just enjoying ourselves.
And it keeps you young. Yeah. So purpose.
Yeah.
And God is all over this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? You may not understand this. This is home for us. You know, this is home. I don't know why we just feel that we don't belong. We don't want to belong to any other church except this one.
Wow. Wow.
We just feel that we're happy here.
Well, we're so honored and privileged to have you part of our family,
Yeah.
both of you. We feel very privileged.